And welcome to Above Replacement Radio, where we're talking baseball for the Hall of Fame announcements. It's a half episode, if you noticed.
This is more than just a kind of whenever.
Yeah. This is
the ultimate ARR yearly event, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. It's the end of an era for many. I don't know. I'm treating this like. I mean, not that they aren't going to have opportunities to be in the Hall of Fame after this, but I'm treating this as a bit of a funeral.
It's a funeral for the integrity of the Hall. I'm not going to lie, it really is.
Or at least the
BBWAA.
Which is, still, probably maybe the most integral part of the voting system, oddly enough. But yeah, it's certainly a downgrade. It's weird, and it's overshadowing the potential of us seeing David Ortiz as a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah, that's true. I'm going to turn this down a little bit. The announcement's going to be made in just a few minutes. It is currently 6:13 p.m. Eastern Time. We got MLB Network streamed. And, David Ortiz is at 83.4%, I believe. He needs about 2/3 of the private ballots to get in.
Yeah.
And my prediction is that I would give it a 60 to 65% chance. I feel pretty optimistic. You would have to. I know Bonds and Clemens last year had 11.5% between pre-election results and actual results. And David Ortiz, he's gotten more support in this first year, and I think he needs to stay below 8-something% to stay above 75. I think if he makes it, I don't think he gets more than 77. Okay, here we go.
On behalf of National Baseball Hall of Fame Chairman Jane Forbes Clark, our board of directors, the entire staff here in Cooperstown, Jack O'Connell of the Baseball Writers Association of America, it is my honor to announce the results of the 2022 BBWAA Hall of Fame.
Is it though?
The death of the Hall of Fame. 1936 through 2022.
This year's ballot featured 30 possible candidates, with 13 newcomers joining 17 holdovers in the 2021 ballot.
None of which made it.
In their individual decisions, the electors took into consideration the following voting criteria: the player's record, playing ability, integrity, sportsmanship, character, contributions to the team or teams for which the player played. Tonight, we are pleased to announce
This is some good radio.
the addition of one new member.
There we go! It happened! He is in! David Ortiz is a Hall of Famer.
That's it?
Oh yeah, let him in.
Alright, we have Bono Siddhartha joining us.
Sorry.
On the show.
I didn't know y'all were recording, but is that it?
This is very informal. It's a reaction show, so please butt in whenever you want.
David Ortiz, amazing player, guaranteed Hall of Famer. Hey, a couple of PED scares, but none of them confirmed. So
Yeah.
good for him.
It's just rumors.
Shout out to Big Poppy, love him forever. Not a Red Sox fan, but love his game.
Absolutely.
Yes, that's wise words. I'd rather hear that. That should be on MLB Network and not this guy.
Some PED scares, but it's okay.
But it's okay.
Hey, some PED scares, but none of them confirmed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
None of them confirmed.
For sure.
That's A-okay, though. Hey, Hall of Famer. I don't know about anyone else. I bet he's going to be the only one that's elected in. But.
Yeah, they did announce that. In each of the Red Sox 3 World Series runs that he was a part of, he had a 1,200 OPS in the playoffs. In each of those 3 runs, he was a. That's the one.
77.9% of the vote. Wow.
That's literally by the skin of his teeth. Hey, but for that stat, how about that?
How about that?
I'll see you guys later.
How about that?
Bono Siddhartha. What is that, a 4-time guest now?
Yeah, I guess 4-time guest Bono Siddhartha tying his fellow high school alumni Nico Fasella.
That's right.
And college alumni,
Right,
obviously.
and COVID roommate.
COVID roommate.
Yeah.
Intramural
70.
softball teammate.
That's true. 77.9. I literally said he's going to top out at 77, and he literally got 77.9.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's it for Bonds Clemens. I don't know. I can't make a big deal of the death of Bonds Clemens, Schilling, Sosa. Like,
We knew.
we knew. I knew, like...
We knew after last year,
I'm going to be honest.
probably.
I knew deep down, like, 3 or 4 years ago, but I didn't want to say anything publicly until 2 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't, like... With Schilling, I pretty much knew last year. Like, last year was the year he probably would have been able to get in.
BBWAA released the full results. Bonds and Clemens got 66 and 65.2%. Scott Rolen, 63.2%. That is really encouraging. He's probably...
Oh, yeah.
I think he's going to be in this year.
Schilling 58.
Schilling 58.6%. Oh my god, Omar Vizquel 23.9%.
Wow. I thought you said 20, I said 21. He got 20.
He got 23.9.
That's unreal.
Oh my goodness.
The BBWAA does just top themselves.
Anyway, Todd Helton 52%. That is
I saw Wagner got 51.
Wagner 51, that's encouraging. He tops 50 for the first time. Andruw Jones got to 41%. He topped 40 for the first time. Gary Sheffield 40.6. Alex Rodriguez 34.3. It's actually a lot better than I thought.
Oh yeah,
He did shockingly well on the private ballots. Jeff Kent 32.7%. Manny Ramirez 28.9%. Omar Vizquel 23.9%. That's still near 20%. It's over a 20% loss from last year. 26% loss from last year. Still just a detrimental year for him. But, yeah. Sammy Sosa, 18.5%. Andy Pettit, 10.7%. Jimmy Rollins, 9.4%. Bobby Abreu, 8.6%. Kind of not moving from last year. Mark Burley, 5.8%, just barely staying on the ballot. Torrey Hunter, 5.3%, just barely staying on the ballot. And then Joe Nathan, 4.3, just missing. Tim Hudson in his second year, 3.0, falling off the ballot. Tim Lincecum, 2.3%. Ryan Howard, 2%. Mark Teixeira, 1.5%. Justin Morneau, 1.3%. Jonathan Papelbon, 1.3%. Prince Fielder, 0.5%. AJ Brzezinski got 2 votes. And then Carl Crawford and Jake Peavy got 0.
Dang.
Wow. Yeah, really by the skin of his teeth. I think he got there by like 5 or 6 votes.
Yeah, by the math of it. Yelling across the street, I predicted 76.5,
Yeah.
and it was a little bit more than that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, and that's a good thing. We didn't really talk a lot about David Ortiz's case. We didn't really go too in depth.
I mean, like, what else do you need to say? Like, if you know baseball, if you're listening to this show, you've probably at least heard the name David Ortiz. Like, You understand his impact on the game, his contributions to the Red Sox organization. Like, of course he deserved to be in.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, he brought World Series baseball back to Fenway. He brought a title back for the first time in 86 years. He won 3 while there. He hit .688 in a World Series.
Yeah.
It was a no-doubter. I mean, the only questions you really had were the Mitchell report, which, I mean, it seems to be very obsolete now.
Yeah, very, very much so. Very much seems to. And yeah, like, in all those World Series, he had a heavy impact. I know, I would say 2 of them you definitely could not have won without David Ortiz. And then 07, like, still. It's still a question mark given, I guess, like, his, in the ALCS, that was a 7-game series in 07. You probably don't win that without Ortiz's bat. So
Scott Rolen goes from 52.9% to 63.2%. So that is a close to 11%. It's an 11% gain, a little more than that. If he gets that exact gain next year, he's going in. And he's probably going to get more than that next year, especially with how depleted the ballot's going to look next year compared to this year. So that's very encouraging. Scott Rolen, on a ballot with a relatively weak-looking first-year class, it's encouraging to know that we are almost guaranteed to be celebrating Scott Rolen next year. Billy Wagner got to 50% this year after being at 46.4%. Todd Helton got to 50 after being to 44.9. Gary Sheffield, I think, stayed like right around the same place. Did Gary Sheffield get 40.6%? Did I read that right? If that's so, he got the exact same percent as last year,
Sammy Sosa barely improves.
which is fascinating.
Still on the ballot.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Jimmy
Um,
Rhodes, first year on the ballot. He gets
So yeah,
past the 5% threshold. Bobby Bray, who's still there.
so yeah,
Also passed
that's good.
the 5% threshold on
Gary Sheffield got the exact same percent as last year.
he went down
Didn't move.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
So some good signs for some of the non like 10th year guys. Some good signs moving forward. I think my new guy to get behind who needs more support is Andruw Jones.
100%. I agree with that.
41% in his 5th year now.
Yeah, that's honestly not that bad. I was looking at it today. Larry Walker was at 21% after his 7th year. So, I know that 44% doesn't seem like it's much progress halfway through the ballot, but like it looks a lot better because a lot of these guys tend to get more support towards the end of their ballots.
Yeah.
Especially guys like Andruw Jones, who wasn't linked to PEDs. I know we did have some off the field issues, but that doesn't seem to be, other than Omar Vizquel, who just I think had that strong of a case beforehand. Didn't have that.
just from last year. So people
That's the only time where it's been in effect, but it really hasn't to Jones, and
Yeah.
it didn't. I don't think it did to Bonds either. But Andruw Jones, I do think he gets in eventually. Honestly, I truly say that, and I think the same for Scott Rolen. I think the same for Billy Wagner, and I think the same for Todd Helton. I think there are plenty of future Hall of Famers on this ballot, including the possible steroid guys who could get in via the Today's Game Era Committee, which they are eligible for next year.
Yeah, I would agree there. Like, yeah, it doesn't seem. Yeah, it does not. Seem,
Oh, Pedro in the background. That's adorable.
Yeah, it does not seem out of the ordinary that that those guys you just mentioned will get in. Billy Wagner might be a little bit of a question mark considering how late he is into it, but he's still got over 50% of the vote in what?
His 7th year, like I just
7th year,
mentioned,
yeah.
that's his total this year was double Larry Walker's percent in his 7th year.
Yeah, I think I'm comfortable with my. I don't know when I said it, but I think I said it was going to be 10th year. Like
Yeah,
maybe
I think Billy Wagner, if he gets in his 10th year,
it might be a thing where 9th year he gets like 71% of the vote, and it's like
well, Larry Walker, I hate to keep bringing him up, but Larry Walker had 54% in his 9th year too.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
he just had he went from 34% to
he's
54% to 76%.
He's the most extreme.
He definitely is the most
example.
extreme. Edgar Martinez is another one too. I think he was right around in his 7th year, right around where like Jones is, where Wagner, Rolen, Helton. He's like right in that wheelhouse around that time. He got in 10th year. I think next year is going to be, like I mentioned on the last show, it's going to be the year that a lot of people get some big gains. Not a ton this year, except really Scott Rolen. I think Bonds and Clemens had their biggest gain on a ballot in like 5 years. Not that it matters.
Yeah. Yeah, by the way, rest in peace to all the takes of they're going to make them wait it out till their 10th year, but they're going to give it up in that 10th year.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
I mean, they still got, around 2/3 of the vote, but
They got it, yeah. Well, one of them did.
but yeah, Bonds got 66.0, right? And Clemens got
65.2, I think.
65.2. So, I mean, I guess you do forget, them not being Hall of Famers. They still got around 2/3 of the BBWAA writers agreed that they were Hall of Famers, but that's not how the Hall of Fame works.
Not enough.
Luckily, I guess, yeah.
I mean, only Bonds got 2/3. He got 66.0 and Clemens got 65.2.
Well, Bonds didn't even get 2/3 technically. I mean, you got to get 66.6.
That's true.
But, they got close to that.
I'm glad David Ortiz got in so we didn't have to have a conniption about people sending in blank ballots.
Yeah.
I'm very glad we were spared that.
2 years in a row. It really would have been a bad look for baseball for sure. If 2 years in a row you're not putting anyone from the BBWAA ballot into the Hall of Fame. It's just it would have been 6 guys who all played at least 40 years ago, and not, some of the guys that some fans grew up with. But yeah, I mean, I think we saw kind of what we expected yesterday when we recorded.
Yeah, we did. I don't think there's any surprises.
Yeah,
really.
no.
I think the biggest surprise for me was A-Rod getting 34%. I thought the private ballots were going to crush him a lot more than they did.
Yeah,
because I think he was trending around like 30, like high 30%, on the public ballots.
Yeah, around like low 40s or something like that. Yeah, it was. But yeah, he not too steep of a drop off. Like, what were Bonds and Clemens at before the private ballots came out?
Like 6%. They dropped about 10%.
So Bonds and Clemens dropped more than A-Rod, which is interesting.
Yeah.
On the private.
I guess
ballots.
It does make a little more sense when you have a higher percentage. And like maybe Bonds, Clemens, and A-Rod did around the same percent on the private ballots. Right. But that's going to affect Bonds and Clemens more than it does A-Rod.
True.
That's probably what it was. But I thought they were going to crush him a lot more because A-Rod is a different case with steroids. Jeff Kent going to get 50% next year.
What is he at?
32.7%.
32.7. Yeah, I think he gets at least 48.
Mm-hmm.
I think he gets at least 48.
I think just looking forward to next year, I think if we're setting goals for certain people, I'll talk about the four, futures, so to speak. Rolen, I think, gets in next year.
Yeah.
He needs right around the same increase as he had last year, or as he had this year, I should say. And I think he'll have no problem getting that. I think he'll get much more than that because he didn't gain a ton this year on the public ballots, and I think they're going to really support him next year with a more depleted ballot. Todd Helton, I think the next step for him is get to 60%. For Billy Wagner, I'd say 55, just because I feel like he's going to have a harder time gaining votes that he doesn't already have, just because he's a reliever.
True.
And maybe it's hard to say the same about Helton, who played at Coors, and that's one thing that's been going against Larry Walker for years. Mm-hmm. Jones, I think the goal is get to 50 next year.
Yeah. So yeah, all those guys got to get on the campaign trail. Reach out to the local BBWAA writers and do some convincing.
Absolutely. Bobby Abreu in 3 years has still not gotten past 10%.
Yeah.
I think he will next year, though. I think he'll get to 15% next year. That's a hot take.
There you go. Yeah.
Like, hey, more depleted ballot.
Yeah, it very well could happen. But yeah, he doesn't seem to be trending that well. But yeah, I mean, we're in on him, and if you want to know a little bit why, you can go to our YouTube channel, go to some of the bubble cases we did. Mm-hmm. The Bobby Abreu one has an odd, like a good amount of views for an ARR video, oddly enough.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it definitely is the most obscure person to make a strong Hall of Fame case for, considering the support that they get.
Yeah, there's... I'll take a look right now. It has like 40-something, which is not...
No, still not a lot.
I mean, not usual for
an ARR video.
Analytics.
Hell yeah, analytics. 53.
53, yeah. It has
gained
53
us a subscriber.
views. Gained us a subscriber, yes. So shout out to that person. Yeah, people were interested in the Bobby Abreu thing. It was interesting.
Cool.
Certainly no BBWAA writers were flipped.
Yeah, no.
Based off of that.
I think he got right around the same percent as last year as well. Let me check what Bobby Abreu had last year, because I know he was at 8%.
I feel like this would not be the year where people are like, let's give Bobby Abreu another shot.
No, because, I mean, 2 good first years. Bobby Abreu last year had 8.7. He went down 0.1%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, weird. It's so weird that it's a stat. This year was one of the best ballots in general, but like there were not a lot of big gains because it was kind of sharing the wealth, really.
Yeah, exactly, and it makes a lot of sense considering there were no 10th years last year, so you were only adding guys,
Exactly.
adding high quality candidates.
Yeah, I mean, like, they were not, like, you weren't losing anyone from last year.
Yeah.
You know, like, anyone who was on a ballot last year, you're probably keeping plus Ortiz A-Rod.
Yep.
And you're probably dropping people if you had a 10-person ballot last year to make room for Ortiz A-Rod. Therefore, you're not really adding anyone unless you want to drop someone else.
Yeah, both of us did that with our mock ballots. So yeah, that's, I guess what we expected to happen.
I can't believe Omar Vizquel actually got to 23%. That's mind-blowing.
It beat out both of our expectations.
Like, I knew I mean, I guess I love that, like, I think realistically we're now in a time where we don't really have to worry about Omar Vizquel ever getting into the Hall of Fame.
True.
Because a lot of stuff is out there. There still hasn't been any verdicts in any of those cases, and that could come out in the next year, and that could really affect things. But even still, like, hypothetically, if all this were to be dropped, I still don't think he's gonna get support back from a lot of the people that dropped him.
Yeah, and it's not a thing of, like, even his biggest supporters know he's not a top tier Hall of Fame player in general, so it might not be worth it for them. To still make that decision. It's not like he was a guy who has these allegations but had like 95 wins above replacement.
Yeah,
it's not the case. He was already kind of a fringe candidate as it was, and then you have whatever allegations that he had. But anything more to discuss with this Hall of Fame ballot?
Jeff Kent gained 0.3%.
Yeah.
A lot of people staying stagnant, which makes sense. Manny Ramirez gained... actually, Manny Ramirez gained... No, he didn't. He went from 28.2 to 28.9. A lot of people staying put.
Yeah.
Which I guess makes sense. And next year, I think we see some of those numbers start to go up again.
Yeah, right.
I love that we get to keep the narrative of the private ballots loving Omar Vizquel.
I mean, more than last year.
Way more. Yeah, seriously. He went up. He doubled his percent.
Yeah.
He went from like 11% to 23%.
So yeah, if he's like 45% on the public ballots at some point, watch out.
Yeah.
He might be 100% on the private ballots.
Dude, yeah. If he were to get back to like 58% on the public ballots, he's in.
Yeah, like guaranteed. Chalk it up.
Well, I guess that's everything I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess what I'll say is, and yeah, I'll say that the Hall of Fame. This was a swift reminder of the Hall of Fame is not an objective thing of these are the best players in baseball. It's a certain type of best player in baseball. They put in mostly the best players, but not always. It's not always the case because of different reasons, and this was a swift reminder of that. Of how these results have gone with Bonds, Clemens, Schilling, and also I believe Sosa, not being elected after 10 years, and yeah, so like the Hall of Fame is a pretty subjective place. I think it always was, but this was a swift reminder of that.
If they get in via today's game era committee, which their first opportunity fortunately comes next year, and then after that it's every 2 or 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm excited for people to care about an era committee election.
True.
It comes at such a random time. It's like a random Sunday evening in December.
Yeah. Meanwhile, like Colts Titans is like the main event of sports, and then you got this random.
And it's like, oh my God, Bud Fowler is a Hall of Famer. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's it is quite random. But yeah, I think I don't think it necessarily takes away from their impact on the game and how great they were as players. It's just how things how things kind of rolled with voters.
The way I always see it is like, if you want to have a problem with what they did on the field, that's fine. If you want to have a problem with what Curt Schilling says, that's fine. But give yourself the opportunity to express that to his plaque.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Right. Very true. Very well put. I think we'll end on that. All right. So we hope you enjoyed this reaction, episode 170 and a half.
Congratulations to David Ortiz.
Congratulations.
Well deserved.
To David Ortiz.
I think the first great player that we watched.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way of saying it, right?
Yeah, and like the guy, and yeah, for what he means to like Red Sox fans our age, he was like one of the first guys that you rooted for as a Red Sox fan. It was like him and Pedroia.
Mm-hmm.
He was the guy who was the guy to pay attention to, the guy you didn't want to be, have a bathroom break for his at bat.
Yeah.
You wanted to, keep your eyes on him at all times, and the cliche of him, you always wanted him up when it mattered most, extremely true. But yeah.
Oh, look at this. Look at this. Kevin Millar cameo.
Kevin Millar cameo on MLB Network. If you want to follow us on social media, follow me on Twitter at Chris_Gianta. Follow Daniel on both Twitter and Instagram at Daniel_Curran, and follow the show on Instagram at Above Replacement Radio. And we hope you enjoyed this reaction episode, and we will see you at some point in the future talking about all the happenings or lack thereof in Major League Baseball once again. See you then.